Hello there. I thought today I'd say a bit about one of my favourite teachings, which is from Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. So I'm going to read you a little bit of it and then I'm going to talk about that. And it's basically about how to approach meditation from the perspective of how we deal with thoughts in our mind. What's going on there. So this is what it says. In the heart of winter, the chill freezes lakes and rivers. The water becomes so solid that it can bear people, beasts and carts. As spring approaches, earth and water warm up and thaw. What then remains of the hardness of the ice? Water is soft and fluid, ice hard and sharp. So we cannot say that they are identical, but neither can we say that they are different. Because ice is only solidified water and water is only melted ice. The same applies to our perception of the world around us. To be attached to the reality of phenomena, to be tormented by attraction and aversion, by pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and obscurity, praise and blame, creates a solidity in the mind. What we have to do, therefore, is to melt the ice of concepts into the living water of the freedom within. What we have to do, therefore, is to melt the ice of concepts into the living water of the freedom within. I think those last two lines are particularly beautiful because it describes how, in a way, all we have to do is let everything move, let everything continue its movement rather than holding on, rather than fixing things. So you'll notice there that he mentions those 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and obscurity, praise and blame. So those are the sort of concepts that we hold on to. Another one you could say is hope and fear. I think that's a very strong one. So, of course, all this amounts to craving and aversion, wanting one thing and not wanting another. And it's really important, I think, in meditation that we see, that we notice that we are always wanting something and pushing away something else. So thoughts are not to be avoided, they're not to be pushed away, even in meditation. Instead, we need to let them flow, we need to let them keep moving, we need to not take them too seriously. So if we come back to that image of ice and water, well, funnily enough, yesterday Bodhivajra was saying to me, he'd been in up to Mousehold Heath, and there's a place where we go sometimes where there's a big pond. You're probably familiar with it, some of you. And he said that yesterday it was completely frozen over and people were walking on it. And my immediate thought was, wow, that's a bit of a risk because that it may not be as frozen as they think. How thick is that ice? And there's a danger of falling into that water by making an assumption. So we put on our foot on the ice and think, oh, that's lovely. I can walk on it. It's nice and hard. But we can't be sure. We can't be sure. And likewise, if we went to a pool expecting fresh water, wanted to have a swim in it, or perhaps it would be more likely that we wanted a drink of water and it had frozen over. Well, we wouldn't be able to get that water very easily. So we're full of expectations, we're full of assumptions, and we fix concepts without allowing them to move on. The living water of the freedom within, that's very mysterious, isn't it? What we have to do, therefore, is to melt the ice of concepts into the living water of the freedom within. I think partly that living water is our energy. just letting it keep moving without fixating. Because really, when we meditate, all that we can be sure about, all that we can know is true, is our sensations. So all the assumptions we make about other people and the world, they are just that. They're just a view that we're holding. And a practice that I often recommend, some of you will know, is the I don't know practice. I don't know. It's a very good way actually to approach our thinking. We're thinking something, we've got it sussed, as it were. I don't know. I don't know. Other people will see it differently. How can I be sure that my view, my opinion, my way of seeing things is right? I can't. I can't be sure. Not if I'm truly honest. So holding everything lightly is a way to be in meditation. Further on in this teaching, there's another few lines that I think is really helpful. It says this: once you have recognized the true nature of reality, which is empty, but at the same time appears as the phenomenal world, your mind will cease to be under the power of delusion. If you know how to leave your thoughts free to dissolve by themselves as they arise, they will cross your mind as a bird crosses the sky, without leaving any trace. So there's lots of deep insight into what he's saying here. Recognizing the true nature of reality. It's empty, but appears. There is appearance and emptiness. There is form and there is emptiness. And why are those forms empty? Well, because they're not substantial. They don't last. Even the most solid and seemingly permanent factors of phenomena, such as mountains and seas, they do change over time. We know that. And we don't last very long at all. And we don't even know how long we will last. So there is appearance and there is emptiness. And if we can allow thoughts to keep moving, we can see their empty nature. Try looking for where a thought arises. Try looking for where it goes to. But even when the thought is in your present experience, where is it? See if you can find it. That's how empty thoughts are. So if you know how to leave your thoughts free to dissolve by themselves, in other words, if you don't hang on to them, if you don't follow the stories, if you don't make something of them more than they are, they just will disappear. They'll go. Can you remember even what you were thinking 10 minutes ago? Probably not. And if you can remember, was it very significant? Did you need to hang on to it? Did you need to follow the thought? So what this tells me really is that we could be more spontaneous with our present experience. And one thing's for sure, we'd be much happier. We'd be much less stressed. We'd be much less anxious. So if we can leave our thoughts free to dissolve, as they arise, they will cross our mind as a bird crosses the sky without leaving any trace. Personally, I like to compare it a bit to being on a train. So let's say you're on a train, you're looking out of the window, and the train's moving quite fast, and you're seeing everything pass. You don't try and hang on to it, do you? You don't get fixated. It's just all passing. There it is, phenomena passing in front of your mind, coming and going. And in a way, if we can be like that with our thoughts and our emotions and our sensations, the experience we have of them, we can enter into a flow that allows much more space. I think I'll leave it there for today.